What's up guys, Saf here on Super Saf TV and we've got a special unboxing today. Here is the brand new unreleased Sony Xperia XZ3. We're going to check it out and we've also got this here, the Sony Xperia XZ2, so we can do a bit of a comparison. This just came out around 6 months ago, so it's still pretty recent. So let's see how different the XZ3 is. We've got pretty much the same branding as what we had on the XZ2, very similar style box. And inside, we have, of course, the Xperia XZ3. We'll put that to the side for just a second and see what else we get inside the box. So there's all of the usual stuff really. There's a small box with all of the paperwork. There's a power brick which does support fast charging. Thumbs up for that. And then we've got a USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable, a USB Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack converter. And that's because the XZ3, like the XZ2, does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. The amount of times I have to say 3.5mm, it just turns into a bit of a muddle. Anyway, we do get some Sony earphones with some ear tips. Now, whether or not you get some earphones may depend on your region, so definitely get that checked out. I'm not sure every device is going to come with headphones out of the box. Right, now let's get to the device itself. Get rid of the plastic. It's a bit sticky. There it is, somewhere down there. And then the screen protector. Oh, so satisfying. Sticking to my nose. Right, so the build and design looks very similar, especially from the back, to the Xperia XZ2. Now I've got the forest green version here, which looks quite a bit like the, I'm not even sure what the color name is of the XZ2, but yeah, just very similar. We've got Gorilla Glass 5, which kind of curves in towards the back, and it's definitely a fingerprint magnet. But the biggest change comes with the display. The XZ2 has a 5.7-inch Full HD LCD display, whereas the XZ3 now has a 6-inch Quad HD Plus OLED display. Now the top and bottom bezels on the XZ3 seem maybe slightly smaller compared to the XZ2, but the side bezels definitely seem smaller, and that is because we've got a dual curve display on the XZ3. And from the front, I have to say, it reminds me a lot of the Galaxy devices that we've seen from Samsung because of the dual curve edges. It does look really nice, don't get me wrong. This display is the first OLED display from Sony for a smartphone. It's an HDR display and it supports Sony's Bravia technology, and I have to say it's definitely the best display that's come on a Sony smartphone. Because it's an OLED panel, blacks are very deep and colors are very sharp and vibrant. Now up front, apart from the display, we do have a 13 megapixel front-facing camera with an f2.0 aperture. This is up from the 5 megapixel camera that we had on the XZ2. This also supports a portrait mode where it's going to blur the background. Definitely interested to check that out and see how it works. And we do have stereo front-firing speakers, which are great. So we've got one in the earpiece and one just a slit here at the bottom. Now they do support Sony's S4 surround sound, and they are 20% louder compared to the XZ2. Now moving around onto the back, we do have a fingerprint scanner right in the middle. This is something that I talked about on the XZ2 as well. It's in a really awkward position, so if you see that I'm holding the device right now, the camera is where my finger would naturally rest, so this is very low and it will take some time to get used to, but it does work pretty well. Now let's talk about the primary camera. So we have a 19 megapixel motion eye camera. This has an f2.0 aperture. Now the hardware is exactly the same as the XZ2, but there have been some improvements in software. My experience on the XZ2's camera wasn't amazing, especially when it came to low light. This is something that I really don't understand from Sony, because they try to cram in lots of pixels on that small sensor size. If we look at Google, Apple, Samsung, they all have 12 megapixels. They don't try to extend the megapixels. And this, in my experience, results in very bad low light images. This was the case with the XZ2. If you do want me to do a camera comparison of the XZ3 versus another device, Super Saf style, then definitely drop me a comment below and let me know which one you'd like to see. Things are more promising on the video side of things. We have 4K HDR up to 30 frames a second. Sony is the only manufacturer that's including 4K HDR on their smartphones. So that is very nice. And we've also got 1080p at up to 960 frames a second. This once again is just a small burst. and it's very, very difficult to capture that slow motion. So it's a nice feature to have, but it's very limited in its usage in my experience. Now, taking a look around, we do have a metal frame, but it's a little bit more glossy compared to the Xperia XZ2. We've still got water and dust resistance on here, which is nice. Sony is probably one of the first manufacturers to include water and dust resistance on their premium smartphones, and they've carried that forward, which is really, really good. On the right hand side, there's a volume rocker, there's a power button that's right in the middle, and then we've got a dedicated shutter button. This is something that I definitely like on Sony devices. It's really nice to kind of have that there. You can just go ahead and press and take a picture where your finger naturally rests. We've got nothing on the left hand side. At the bottom, there is the primary mic and the USB Type-C input. Once again, no 3.5mm headphone jack. At the top, there's a secondary mic, and then we have a SIM card tray. Now, we don't actually need a SIM card ejector tool. You can just pop it out like this. And inside here is also space for a micro SD card, so you can expand the storage on the XZ3 by up to 512 gigabytes. For base storage, you've got 64 gigabytes, and we've got 4 gigabytes of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor. So all of the specifications are the same as what we had on the XZ2. But we do get Android Pie out of the box on the XZ3. This is probably one of the first devices that has Android Pie out of the box. And it does have a slight Sony skin, but it's nice to see that we've got the latest version of Android on here. Now, Sony do have some of their own custom features. The one that they've been talking most about is Side Sense. This is where it's going to allow you to tap on the side of the screen, either side. Let's try this out. Okay, so we've got Side Sense. We can set that up. Double tap the sensor at the side of the screen to show predicted apps based on your device usage. So it is going to use some AI to look at which apps you use most, and also going to look at things like the time of the day when you use those apps. So you can see that as well as the apps, we also have some quick toggles which have popped up here. So just to show you again, I can tap to the side of the screen twice, and there you go, it all pops up and we can swipe up and down. Pretty cool, and you supposedly can tap anywhere on the sides. Does seem to work okay. I think it's going to take some time to get used to exactly how it works. See, I'm trying it right now and it's not coming up. Not on the right hand side, now it's just doing it on the left hand side. Okay, my first impressions are not so good because it kind of seems to work sometimes and not some other times. It's working now. Definitely going to take some time to get used to. I like the concept of it, but I'm not sure about this double tap execution. There's also an advanced 3D creator. So 3D creator is where it's going to let you scan your face or other objects in 3D onto your smartphone. I kind of didn't find myself using this too much. It's an interesting concept. And this year you can also animate, which is pretty freaky. I did try this out and it kind of looks really scary to me. I probably won't be using it much. Now for the battery, you've got a 3300 mAh battery. We'll have to see how long it lasts on this OLED display. This is a Quad HD Plus OLED display after all. But the good thing is, as mentioned earlier on, we do have fast charging and we have wireless charging too, so that's definitely nice to have. Now this is coming in at £700 in the UK, which is a few £100 cheaper than other flagship devices, but those flagship devices do have things like dual cameras. So it'll be interesting to see how this holds up. In terms of my first impressions, I really do like the build and design. I think Sony have done a great job, and the display looks very, very nice as well. I have said this before, but I can't help but think that this is what the Xperia XZ2 should have been. Nevertheless, a promising device from Sony. What do you guys think of it? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts, and let me know what coverage you'd like me to do with this going forward. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me, and if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications. We've got lots more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.